Hey, everybody, welcome to the Rainmaker podcast. And today we have another Rainmaker, Joshua Bostick, and he's going to be telling you how you can grow your insurance business from zero to over 30,000 in one single month. Joshua, my man, it's great to have you on the show, man. Welcome to the Rainmaker podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So we're just gonna dive right in. Definitely excited to hear from you and learn a little bit about your story. Take me back. How did you even get in the life insurance business in the first place?
Oh well, that's a little bit of a hard story here. So funny enough, I actually got into the life insurance business because I was going to be bored over a summer while I was in college. I was going to get a foot surgery, and I knew I was going to go crazy not having a job that I could work from home. And I just applied on ZipRecruiter to a billion different stuff, and that's how I landed into the industry. I had loved commission sales before. After the Marine Corps, I did some door-to-door sales, but then came back to school, and here I am. I'm gonna go back.
Dope. So yeah, man. So again, being in the Marine Corps, thank you for your service. Definitely appreciate that. So why did you pick the life insurance industry though?
So it was not even on purpose. It was not. I just applied. ZipRecruiter. You can just go and send a billion applications out, and I just made a connection. And I had always every aptitude test I'd ever taken always said that I was portion of the public service. But me and my wife had to come to an agreement that if I was going to stay in a dangerous career, I might as well just stay in the military. And so I gave up my dream of doing other public service like police officer and EMS and things like that. And so I was still itching for something that I could do and I could still make an impact with people. And I was really good at door-to-door sales when I was in Dallas. Like I did that. I just wasn't spending the amount of time. Like I was spending 70 hours a week knocking on doors all throughout Dallas. And I loved how it made me feel, but not the way it needed to be away from my family. And this gave me the opportunity to hit everything in the same time. Be home,
That makes sense.
make money.
Yeah, for sure. So how does one translate from being in the Marine Corps? How does that translate into you having success in the life insurance business?
Well, it's definitely the grit and not being able to be told no. I mean, there's plenty of times that the military and the service that they tell you to do one thing and you have to do it. It's you do it or you go to the brig. And I translated that back into sales and doing this. Like if I don't do this, I will fail and I'll fail my family. So I can't do that. And just being able to be told no, like I don't care if you've been told if you tell me no, you can tell me no a billion times. Until you get a restraining order on me, I'm still going to be knocking on your door. That's it's the relentlessness of things. And I was going to mention later, but like yeah, the life insurance industry has actually made me read more books, self-development books, in the last year than I did my entire life combined. And the one that made the most difference was actually Relentless
by Tim Grover.
Love this book so much, and that's literally the mantra of like things like you can't give up. If you don't if the only way you fail is by giving up, and that's how that translated back and forth.
So I'm glad you brought that up because most people wouldn't share that, and I knew this was going to be a good one. What are some of the things that you took away that you already knew that reactivated some things, or some things that you needed to learn? Because I know the Marine Corps gave you grit, but then it seems like that book really kind of reactivated some of those things as a reminder. What are some things that you took away from that book? There were some key takeaways.
Pretty much that you're in charge of your own destiny. The only person that cares about you is yourself. No one else cares about you more than you care about yourself. You're the only person in charge of your own destiny. And just because you had somebody kick you down or somebody said that one thing didn't work, it doesn't mean that the world is going to be that way. That doesn't mean your life is that it's going to repeat itself. There's plenty of successful people who started later in life. I'm only 26 years old. There's people that started had to restart at 50 and have made it a billion times. So why can't I? And it's that mindset of changing of the mindset of just constant pursuit of happiness and desire. I don't know how else to
Yeah,
put it.
for sure. And we hear a lot of people throw that word mindset around a lot.
Oh
But
yeah.
if you're a beginner agent or you're used to working a 9 to 5 where you don't really need to use your mindset. It's not like something that's like your armor, right? How
No.
important is the right mindset for you to have success in this business?
Oh, it's everything, because if you don't have the right mindset, you're going to quit. And that's, I mean, as frank as it is, I mean, you have a billion no's back and forth. And most likely when you're off, you're probably going to be working. Most insurance, I know you probably can attest for the same thing, Arturo. You're going to be working the not as pleasurable leads or the people when you're in any type of industry when you first start. I mean, you want to get told no a billion times. The fastest way to success is to fail faster.
Mm,
So why wouldn't you not? Why would you want to do the expensive stuff? Like I tell my agents under me, like I want you to start. I want you to start with the low of the low, because
right,
I want you to get told no a whole bunch. I want you to come to me and complain to me that you've been told no a whole bunch, because when you've been told no a whole bunch, I know that you're already building that shield for when you have a big potential client that tells you no the first time.
right. Gotcha. Okay. So let's transition into you being in the business. So how long have you been in the insurance business now?
So I officially wrote my first policy of June of 2022.
Awesome. So fairly new agent. This is awesome because a lot of new agents will be watching this. So let's just, talk about what was the first, 90 days like for you being an insurance agent?
Well, the first 90 days was me out of transition from school during the summer. So I really hit the books hard. I didn't even start my insurance licensing and all that stuff I until after I finished finals. So I was like, I told my upline, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna I'm gonna focus on my school because I don't want to pay the VA back for my studies. And she's like, okay, I understand. And then I hit the ground running. So the first month, well, we have a thing called SNA, which is season new agent, which is 6 applications in 6 weeks. I had a really influential mentor of mine tell me and challenge me. I really wanted to go to Cowboys game, and he's like, okay, like what can you do? How fast can you do that? I was like, I can fit it in 2 weeks. I hit it in 12 days, 6 applications in 6 weeks. Non-family members, nobody out, all outside source. And then the momentum came from there. I mean, it just continued. I went to our national conference in the August afterward, came out of it, went straight back to school 7 days later, and then started having success. I was doing it part time for the first year. So I've
Yeah.
actually only been full time for half a year.
Yeah, for sure. And so what are some of the challenges that you're facing early on as a new life insurance agent?
Time, the lack of
Mm,
the lack of time, lack of time management. So me not having a proper schedule, and I tell people this, especially other agents, is without a schedule, I had nothing. And I realized that when I went full time, the most success I had profitability wise was while I was part time. And the reason that was because I had to dial it. I only had 5 hours a day to dial. I only had 3 hours a day to do production. I had to be consistent. So there's a saying: busy people want to work with other busy people, and it really shows. And I had that struggle actually, starting in January when I quit school, when I went full time. I had all of this time in the world, but didn't know how to manage it, didn't know how to use it, and that would be the biggest struggle.
so mindset's important and then time management.
Oh yeah, time
Gotcha.
management. Like it's crazy how you can get mad at other people. For me personally, I'm the type of person to start having a mini panic attack when people are running 5 minutes early. That's late in my mind. uh, and not having that ability back and forth is really what changed it. along
Yeah.
with not having the resources needed. I mean, not having the income or the style of leads that we're both everybody's looking for. Not having all that stuff. It's like what holds me always holding me back.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man, that's powerful. And thanks for sharing that, because this is helpful for somebody else that's, confused or maybe trying to figure it out. So, how did you come across AJC or myself? How do we even get on your radar?
Well, actually, it was because I was starting to try to figure out a second way to maybe generate my own leads, a little bit more than just warm market when it comes to generation of leads. I was already posting on Facebook daily. I was already doing other stuff, and your ad came up on Facebook, and I was like, okay. I started looking at you, and then I ran across your YouTube channel and all your podcasts, and I was like, oh, I actually recognize that name. Oh, I recognize that name, and I was really interested, and so we scheduled a call. I was actually with one of your marketing guys, and at the time it just didn't fit. It was me going through a transition, me having to dial in myself and what I was going to do. And it wasn't until after we met in person at SWAT, Strategic Wealth Advancement Tactics, that we were able to take a picture and actually have some one-on-one time that we realized that, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
I
So
bought
I
some
don't
leads
want to
from you.
gloss over that. So I know I'm cutting you off, but I don't want
Yeah,
to
yeah,
gloss
okay,
over that.
I know, okay.
So I want to know, like, because people may see it online and they're hearing these things. I'm talking through them. They may be skeptical or going through a transition phase where you've tried ads yourself, right, and it didn't work, or you purchase somebody into marketing. What was it like to meet me in person and sit in a breakout room? Did that have an impact on in a positive way, on or any influence on anything? Like what impact or how did that affect you?
It affected me like it affected me like that. I still have my selfie on my phone. I mean, that's our your contact in my phone is the is our selfie together, and being able to see the name and see and do the research. Like I did my research before I went to spot. I knew you were going to be there. I did my research beforehand, so we had something to talk about. And it's scary when you're talking about giving somebody else control of your business
Mm-hmm.
at first. That's what it sounds like. I mean, when you're saying I'm going to hire this person outside, everybody says no, 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 don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Just do things yourself. I tried to do it myself. I could pull up my own the ads I try to run. I could do it. I was just pouring money into it and nothing was happening. They always say that you need to hire people out that do a job better than you, because if you try to do everything yourself, you're just going to fall down and fall down and fall down. And that's what I did. I mean, I met at Arturo in person, and the rest is history. I mean, we connected. It was more of a personal level of things back and forth. You can never beat in person conversations. I mean, be able to talk and have a drink and socialize and shake hands and hug is there's nothing like it, and that's what the
Mm.
digital world we're missing. And so the trust factor, I mean, when you're in person, I learned that in door-to-door sales. I mean, the trust factor when you're in person is crazy. So why would you not want to get one-on-one coaching from somebody like that if you can? One-on-one
Yeah.
coaching, counseling, somebody who's done it and done it for years and years and years, and that is easily accessible.
Yeah,
It's just
for
a no-brainer
sure.
in my mind.
Yeah, I mean it is a no brainer for sure, but and it's just like people are skeptical and they kind of and sometimes some stuff can sound too good to be true, right? Because it's marketing. So sometimes it's like social media. You kind of hear some of the highlights, but I love doing these calls because you've seen the testimonials, right? And now you're one of them, so it's kind of surreal. And this is where our team gets the most joy. But I want to take a step back, right? Because your situation was very unique, and I was happy. I told you I couldn't wait for this moment. You remember that, right? I told you, I was
Yeah, I
like, you're going to
can.
remember this, right? And you're smiling now because I said at one point, I'm going to be smiling on camera and you're going to be sitting right there. So let's talk about that though, because, initially you was like, okay, I don't want to do that. And I don't want to go into debt. You had a strong, firm philosophy on that. And you're like, my wife needs to be on board. And so your situation was a little bit unique. I created something that we do now offer a little bit, which is to try some of the IUL leads, right? So we
Yeah.
did that first, right? And that just gave you a little taste of what was possible. What was that like for you to actually spend some money And no, it probably wasn't perfect, but for you to see that this outcome is something that could definitely work out in your favor.
Yeah, before I get into that, I will say that any non-success I had was my own fault. There was nothing wrong with anything that the leads or things. I'd never used Calendly before. I didn't set my schedule up correctly when it came to everything. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But wow, was I overwhelmed is a wrong word for it, but impressed. Along with the different lead sources I had done, I had bought IUL leads. There's two things I'm passionate about in the insurance world. It's veterans and IULs. I don't know why. It's just what I really enjoy. I really enjoy IULs and talking about people. So I bought the IULs. Like Arturo said, he hadn't had it available for anybody before, and unique situation, and it worked. I had more work in one day than I had ever had in a week combined. I had 19 appointments total, 16 of those IUL or IULs, and 14 of those 16 IUL leads that I received for that day were self-booked on my calendar.
Wait a minute, what?
Yes.
I don't remember that part. Say that one more time.
So I had 19 appointments total, 3 appointments non-IULs that I had myself from a different lead source. 16 of them were out of the 25 leads that I had purchased from you. Out of those 16, 13 of them were self-booked.
Wow.
3 of them
So
I
hold
called
on. Had you ever had a self-booked appointment before?
one time.
Okay.
Out of the blue, and they no-showed me.
Right. So what was that like, when people are just like booking on your calendar? What does that feel like?
It's crazy because my phone was going. I'm like, oh, what's going on now? It says Calendly, new schedule appointment, new schedule appointment, new schedule appointment, new schedule appointment. To the point where I was like, okay, well, we definitely have to get the sitter here for all day because I I had no break. Yeah, I had no break. I had to. I the day before I had to prep my lunch. I had to have everything like in my house. I'm in my house. I had to go prep my lunch and my snacks and have everything here ready because I knew I was going to be so busy.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
There's nothing like being excited for a no show.
Right.
I'll tell you that.
I know, and people have heard that. So that's like, is that a real thing? It's like, yes, because I may need to go to the restroom, or I may need to get some water, or I just may need to stand up. So a no show happens. You're like, okay, thank God, I could just take a second.
It's exactly. Why do you think I have a standing desk right behind me? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes I need to move, and sometimes I need to work while I move, and it's crazy because it wasn't. There was out of those, and then there were still some scattered throughout the week, right? I mean, I went into it knowing that IULs, if you're properly setting them up, they're usually not a one sit close. I went
Right.
into that knowing that.
Right.
I did have a one sit closed,
Mm-hmm.
but most of them were pushed out.
Yeah, for
One
sure.
of them booked 3 weeks, and this is where I know you want me to start heading to.
Well, hold
One of
on
them
before
booked.
you get to that though, because I know where you're going. I love it.
I
This is
know
gonna be
you're
great.
going.
Let's talk about what your expectation. What did you think was gonna happen after you bought the 25 leads? Right, like what did you think was gonna happen? Because you said you was impressed. What outcome were you just expecting?
I was expecting it just to be slowly generation on Excel sheet, like one or two, like somebody self generating back and forth. It's whatever. It's here. Like it's just another thing added to it. I'll check it every day. I'll look to one or two, give them a call, start a campaign. The normal. I was
Right.
not expecting them to self book on my appointment as a calendar. Know what IULs already were. Like they're calling for more information, but most of them already knew the contributions. They knew what an IUL was. They wasn't a what is this yada 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 yada. They had some type of base of knowledge already on it. They're interested enough to book on my calendar, on my restricted calendar, to move around their schedules to be there. I was expecting it just to be leads. I mean,
Yeah.
knowing your credibility, I knew they were going to be good. I just didn't know how good they were going to be.
Right. Right. So I think your situation is so cool because I want to talk about kind of your philosophy, and if you mind sharing it about not leveraging debt, and you had a hard line on that because this was a unique situation. But I knew from the information that you told me that if I could earn your trust and then show you a little snippet, that this would be where we would end up. So I'm just curious on if you would mind sharing like your philosophy on like how you wanted to manage your personal business and go about funding, because you are self-funding the growth of your business, and then ultimately what led you to to take action to leverage a little bit of debt against like what you were thinking, because you can see the bigger picture. If I have my own system instead of Arturo generated, I can get them for cheaper and get more of them. Like, what was your thought process?
Well, I had always, like I said, I'd already talked to y'all before about that program before, because I've always seen in the modern age, that's what any lead vendor from anywhere does. They generate leads and then they sell them. They vet through them and they sell them to you. I had always known that there was a space out there where I could generate them myself and know how to do that self, but I didn't know how to do it. And I was self funding my business. I was spending close to $500 to $600 a week on leads already, receiving about 10 to 15 of them a week. Where not all of them were answering or buying and stuff like that. And I was getting tired of it. I was getting fed up with it. So what I decided to do is decided to reach out, and I wanted to try to do it self-funded on myself, but I didn't have the capital because I was staying above water. I wasn't underneath. I wasn't in debt, but I was staying above water, barely. Was just staying here. There was not very much profitability. And it wasn't until we talked to Arturo, of like 4 different conversations that we had, that when you showed me the debt matrix going down, like you have to get going down in your investment to be able to have an exponential increase of things, that it didn't
Yes.
really make sense to me. And my wife, being an engineer, is very numbers woman. Like I wanted her, like I'm more of an impulse person. I want to be able to have that. And it was the respect that you showed me with the philosophy. Was it knowing like, hey, I want you to talk. I want you to talk to her. I want that way. The last thing I want you to do is sleeping on the couch. Like
Right.
I don't want that either. And for that type of investment, it's not a snip of a finger that you can decide that. And we sat there and we talked. And after the snippet of showing how much it's self generated, we were like, okay, this is worth it. Like me getting my time back to generate my own, where I can learn how to generate for myself, then that means I can help my agents, I can help my agency, I can help everybody, because that's where the digital world is going. No, I don't care what IMO or who you're with, they're gonna generate. They're gonna start generating their own beforehand. They're gonna start importing them own. They're gonna start doing everything. So I wanted to be ahead of the curve. I may be a black sheep. I may be going outside the norm of what some people will tell me, my mentors tell me, but I know I have a gut feeling, and I know for a fact that that's where we're headed in the next 6 months to a year to 2 years. And at that point, I'm already going to know the system. I'm already going to have the generation. I'm already going to know how to do it, and they're going to come to me. And it's a self pride thing. I mean, I want that, like them coming to me after going down, them coming to me, and that's how it is. Like I know it's going to be a struggle. I know it's not a get rich quick scheme. I know it's not this. I have to put the time and the effort and the money in to make it, to build the system. But once I do that, it's all going to be set.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah. And so ultimately, right, what was the one thing that, you know, led you to make the decision where you're like, okay, I need to do this, when you're like, okay, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get in the program, right? I'm going to invest in myself and my business, and I'm going to take a leap of faith. Ultimately, what was the one thing that led you to making that decision?
Honestly, it was after a long talk with my wife. It was lots of tears and lots of talking about, okay, I've been in this business for a year. Where am I at? Why am I there? Why am I stagnant? Well, I mean, like I've shown success, but why am I stagnant? It wasn't until she told me I believe in you enough to be able to do this, to be able to go into debt. We have it in savings. We have what we need to. I believe in you enough. Don't be scared. Don't be nervous. You've got this. And so it was the belief of the wife and somebody pushing me behindhand that I had never had before.
Wow. Yeah, man. And I know that's a lot to kind of share. So I appreciate you
No
being
problem.
vulnerable. I just want to be transparent, right? And so
Yeah,
after doing that, because I know that's scary, do you feel like you made the right decision or good decision?
I know I made the right decision, and I out of the program. It's only 3 weeks. It's only 3 weeks in, and we're about to get to the fun part.
Yeah. So let's talk about it, man. So what's it
Yeah.
been like for you? What have you submitted? What are some things that you want to highlight that, we talk about numbers, but what are other things that you probably thinking through that make you happy, going into the future? Let's talk about some of the results you've gotten and some ahas that you've had.
Yeah. So I mean, I started off. I had never done just final expense before, and so I ran through a learning curve. And me personally, I decided, like, you know what, I would rather spend the extra money because we statistically final expense is a little bit more of a cheaper of a lead to be able to grab to cost per lead. And I was like, you know what, personally, I would rather do the more quality slash person. So I was told by Earl and yourself to create a veteran video, because I mean, as a veteran, to be able to talk and be able to put it on Facebook. So that was my biggest highlight. That was day 3 into doing this,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if you personally have watched it, Arturo, but Earl said it was good.
If he says it's good, then it's good.
Okay, yeah, he said it was good, and I was like, okay, I was a little bit boost of a confidence of doing stuff, and the veteran leads started rolling in. I mean, clicking on my ad, talking about it. I was like talking to people. I'm like, hey, do you see my beautiful bald head? And they're like, yeah, it was great. Knowing that you have to put the investment in. So I've always have a scale, no matter what. Even before this, is the cheaper the lead and lead cost, usually the quality and the decision is a little bit different. But if you can match those, if you can find that equilibrium on the chart about how much I'm spending and how much I'm earning, the ROI chart, it makes more sense to do it. Do I want to exponentially boost like I was shown how to, or do I want to stay slow, 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 and adding up? I know there is people that are in different financial situations, but I mean, out the gate, past the investment that I made otherwise, I'm still spending double the amount I was spending on leads beforehand. But the amount of cost per lead, because I'm spending more, is less.
Right.
It's
So
like if
how
you go to
much?
Costco and you buy something in bulk, it's
Right,
cheaper.
for sure. And so what has that led to? Like, how much have you submitted in the last 30 days?
Yeah. So I actually had a great client that I made a lot of rapport with. They had actually scheduled on my birthday, and I had called them. I was like, I still was working on my birthday, and I called them. I was like, hey, July 22nd. I was like, hey, it's going to go so and so forth. She's like, oh, we're actually going out of town. I'm so sorry. But this is what I'm looking at. Can you start working on some stuff? I'm like, okay. After 2 other times talking and going over everything, we sat down and did 2 IULs and 4 key person insurance policies
Wow.
at the start. That APV, target APV, commissionable APV, was $37,369.08 in one night.
Okay,
Six
let's stop.
applications.
Now let's stop. For all of the things that you just talked about before, where you're just kind of like having a teary conversation and having to really dig in to do something like that. What's it like to say what you just said, to finally be like, okay, I was the black sheep, but I'm not anymore. Like, I can produce, I belong here. This is where I'm supposed to be. I can do this at a high level, right? To just have a conversation that is that impactful. Like, what's it like to say I did that in one day?
It's unreal. Like, I submitted that on, it was Monday night. So what, 3 days ago? And I still have people reaching out to me, talking to me about it. And it's still like, I'm like, just give me a week to compress and decompress myself, because it is amazing. All in the meantime, that same day I had 7 other appointments. Yes, all self booked. 7 other appointments from that day, and we're reading in our IMO right now. We're reading a book called Go for No. I mean, it's very common, and there's a philosophy of like, no matter how many people tell me no, it's going to one yes. This many no's equals here. And you told me something, Arturo. It's like, yes, these people may have no showed you. These people may have done this X or Y. But when you have so many, you're not worried about the one that doesn't. You're relieved when that one doesn't happen. And I've started to see that increase of things. Like I just switched to fully IUL appointments, and every 2 out of 3 people will self book on my calendar. I had to restrict my calendar so they didn't book out farther because there was no space. I had somebody message me like, "There's no space for tomorrow." I'm like, "Oh, well, I may be able to squeeze you in here." They messaged me asking me for it.
Yeah.
It's just unreal the way it feels, the way it feels for you, the way it feels for me. Being able to say that and be able to tell my wife, "Hey, I just submitted $37,000 in one night." She's like, "You did what?" It feels great.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. Well, I want to salute you because I know it still feels surreal to you, but you did the work, right? Like all of the scary stuff you had to do, and to your wife, she's the real MVP. To saying, "I believe in you that I can do this," because more people need support in that fashion because I don't think they know what we go through on a daily basis trying to fight to see people. So sometimes you're like, "Babe, I think I finally got it and I figured it out." And I know this is going to seem scary for you, but if this works, this is going to put us in a situation that we won't be worried about this. And, I'll be fulfilled in the work that I'm doing, right? Because you're able to help people the way you want, which is veterans, right? Obviously. And then IULs, which is some of the things that you love to offer as a service to provide for people to put them in a better situation. I mean, like, what else could be better than that? You love showing up to work every single day because you got the white space is limited on your calendar now, right? So now you're looking for white space, and then you're able to make an impact the way you always wanted, and you could. And now your number's going to be on those leaderboards. Now people are going to be coming to you. What are you doing? How are you able to do this? And so, man, I'm proud of you. Congratulations, brother. And this is just the beginning. So I do want to kind of transition as we wrap this one up. So now, being one of those people, right, that are one of the testimonials after looking at them before, and I know there'll be newer agents that are in your same spot, like before you join our program, where you're like, "Oh yeah, well, Joshua did that. I don't know if I can do it, or it's too expensive, or it just sounds too good to be true." What would you say now, knowing what you know from your personal experience and all the time before you joined the program that you travailed and did your research? What would you say to that person that's maybe on the fence and highly skeptical about trying out something like this?
Can I get 2 minutes to do it?
Let's go.
All right. So I just want a little bit about dynamic. I live in a 4-bedroom apartment here in College Station, Texas, an apartment house. My wife works from home, literally across right here. I have a 2-year-old, about to be 3, and a 1.5-year-old that are here in the house. My biggest complaint was not being able to have the time to dial, or not having the quality to dial, or the quantity to dial when I had time. So if I can do it with a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old and find time to dial or set appointments and run appointments, why would you not want something? Why would you not want something similar? Why would you not want that potential of things to go forth? I've already, and Arturo can tell you, I've sent like 3 other people of my close people that have asked me to him. I would not do that if I didn't personally feel like it was worth it. And I would say, caveat, it took me 2 months to pull the trigger. It took me 2 months to fully pull the trigger. If you're in that situation, when there's a will, there's a way. If you can find a way to do it, if that means that you need to be able to pay for things, be able to pick up an Uber shift, or do what you need to and go deliver food for a little bit to be able to save that extra money to do it, it's worth the grind now to help to be able to live and to be able to be with your family presently later. It is the way the future is going. It's just a matter of if you're going to do it now or if you're going to do it in 6 months when everybody's doing it.
Man. Well, again, I'm so excited because your future looks bright now. I can tell, the relief and the stress and the anticipation of this being something that you can take. And if you talked about the future multiple times, so it just sounds like you're so optimistic about your business, about spending time with your family, and then having your wife on board where she's now proud of you for, really taking control of your fate instead of, retreating. So Joshua, man, I'm so grateful for you being on this podcast. This is one that our whole team is going to be celebrating and rooting for you. Thank you so much again for being part of Rainmaker Nation and being a Rainmaker. Man, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. So you heard it first on the Rainmaker podcast. So if you want predictability and consistency in your business and you're tired of chasing clients and you want clients chasing you instead of the other way around, make sure that you click the link below and book a call to speak with myself or somebody from my team. Thank you, guys. We'll see you in the next Rainmaker podcast.